Why, hello there. This is about the albums, and the album I'm talking about this time is called 8-Man Job. And you'll find the meaning of that title in the title track when we get to it on the whole rundown of these. But all I'm really doing in these is just going through all the songs. In case you're new to about the albums, it's just going through all the songs, talking about them, little tidbits of information behind them, and just kind of so I remember and so you guys can hear about it maybe for the first time for a lot of you for some of these things, and that's pretty much it. I don't know. That was kind of that's the premise of the series. So hopefully that's enjoyable to you. This one was originally recorded in August of 2013, and it's as far as I remember just another album of a bunch of stuff I just kind of liked. Actually, it was a few months later than the previous one, so it's kind of surprising because a lot of these were really jam-packed together, and this is the first time, at least that I'm consciously aware of or consciously noticing that there's a bit of a gap between album releases. So that could mean something. It may also mean nothing. Who can really say? I mean, anyone can say, but really say? No one knows. So that's it, I think, for the preface here. So let's just jump right into it. And that's a really good segue, but you won't know that until later, so stay tuned. And once you get it, in the comments, go in and say, "Oh, I get it." Becoming Superman is about basically like being offered the chance to get super strength, to be unbeatable, unkillable, immortal, something along those lines. And the price for doing so is that you have to kill your children, and that's basically it. I actually had pictures for all of these that I made in paint for this album. So instead of just having an album cover, I made a bunch of different ones. And this one, I remember it was like a little stick man, like tearing apart, like a bunch of blood on the ground, like tearing apart a body, and like having the blood all over his face. So it's like interesting. And the song itself is cool. I like the way it turned out with the way the instruments go together. And having the multiple parts of me singing, I think those came together pretty well too. They sounded good. I didn't mess those up this time. So while the mix is a little bit muddied, I think it still sounds pretty good. And another slight fun fact, I don't know if it's going to pick up in the audio on this or not, but the dog was barking in the background, and I can't predict when dogs are going to bark in the background. I have no control over the world outside of me. So, oops. But whatever. If you didn't hear it, then, I was just kidding. Or something. Bleeding from your head down to your toes. Bleeding from the brain. Bleeding out the nose. Bloody Nose is pretty much just about, all these ways in which you could get a bloody nose. Some of which probably won't even give you a bloody nose. Others would give you lots of other problems other than just a bloody nose. It was just a goofy concept for a song. Again, I do that a lot. I really like how this one kind of has like a nice beat to it. The way kind of the drums and the bass and the guitars all kind of like are going with each other, and a nice like beat and kind of syncing up. I really like that. It's just a song that really moves in a nice way, and then like the end of it where it's just kind of like jamming out a bit with like the whistle and like the synth tones. Like that's, I don't know, I liked that. I think it's a nice little formula thing. I like it. I guess I could have stopped at that, but it's not that interesting to just say I like it. That's what I tried to say. So that's bloody nose. If you have any other ways in which you could get a bloody nose that were not mentioned in the song, please leave them in the comments. And I might read them. I probably will read them. I don't get that many comments. I'll probably be able to get to it. I should probably hold this closer to my face when I mumble, and just have it further away when I'm actually projecting my voice more loudly. And also, you may have heard my fridge turn on there. I can't really control it either, other than unplugging my fridge, and then it's going to get all wet in there and warm. And that's not something I want my fridge to be. Do you dig? Do you dig up what I'm burying down? The kids say it. Well, they don't say it, but they will. A Day with Diccar Fowey is about this idea of talking to an old man that you don't really know that well, probably, because you want to know more about him, have a chat with him, and you find out that there's a lot more going on upstairs than you thought. They had a lot of interesting stories. They were a person who's lived a long life, that kind of idea. And this whole thing was like, that was like the kind of the premise. And I think, I don't remember if I actually wrote something about this or not before, because I feel like I maybe did. But I really didn't have anything planned when I did this. I just had that idea in mind, and then I hit record, and this was one of those where I sang and just came up with words as they went. And I think the music is pretty cool. It's really different, just in the kind of sound and feel of it. The actual structure of the song is still pretty much like doing the same things over and over and kind of trying to build on it, so that's not really that different than what I usually do. But I also like the effect on my voice. It helps my voice sound better in here too, because there's definitely a few of those notes in there where you're like, I don't know if that part would sound that good if I didn't have an effect on me. I would just sound kind of like weirdly loud and awkward. But that's such is music. If it's not noise, it's not the new generation of music. Or something. I'm sure somebody said it. And I'll attribute it to them in the year they said it. There you go. Done. And that's A Day with Diccar Fowey. It was a simple concept that I think the build is pretty nice with it. It has some power behind it, even though it's not based on an actual event that I did or anything. It was just a concept, an idea, and eventually, ultimately, a song. Fighting Spirit is about fighting. It's just a song about fighting people, beating them up, brutally, harshly, and it's okay. Again, it's not something I've done, but yeah, the song's neat. It has a nice little progression to it, and then it follows that, and then it kind of has a little solo-y thing, and it ends. Oh boy, does it end. That's maybe the best part of any of my songs, is that they do that. So, I don't know, there's not a whole lot to really say about it. It really just is about, beating people up. I didn't do anything real spectacular with it. It was pretty much just another song. And, it's okay. It passes. I didn't cut it from the list of songs that exist. The only other tidbit is that I mentioned it before, in the previous about the albums about the song on Bloodwick, Pull the Strings. I thought this was the title I got mixed up with Champion, just because they're both kind of about fighting. But Champion has more of an arc to it, whereas this is just like beat people up. That's the song. So that's Fighting Spirit. Running to is about just this general idea of you gotta go and like do interviews and try to get jobs and work and money to just get money to live off of to keep doing the jobs, and the rinse and repeat idea of life, the stuff most people have to go through in their life. And as someone who hadn't had a job at that point when I wrote it, yeah, it's not really a fair look. Or an experienced look. It's just an outsider looking into that idea. But I will say that I love this song. It's great. I still think it's one of the best songs I've done. Just because like the music is catchy and it's cool. It flows together well. The vocals and the effect on the vocals, they sound really good. And the way I sing it is pretty good. Like, in the voices like match up with each other. I don't really have the whole like, oh, I messed up one of the voice tracks, and the cool like tones in it. It just it all comes together to just be a really awesome song to me, anyways. And I still really like it. I even really liked the art for it, which was like, just like stick people, kind of like all running towards this big building. It's kind of like one of those like big business buildings that's like all windows, but it's in the shape of a question mark. So I always like that too, with like a red and green background. I may have saved that one, but I don't know. So I might show it here, or I might forget that I was going to do that. We'll see. But that is Running To, and still really like it. To take the blame, please tell me your name. Are we the ones to feel the shame? What's your name? The song Uncertainty is meant to kind of push the idea of uncertainty itself, of not really knowing. It's like, whose fault is this? What should we feel? What's going on? What is this? You just don't know things. It's supposed to kind of give off that emotion. It's not really talking about anything specific, which makes sense since it's uncertainty. It's because it is really non-specific, because you're not certain. But that's pretty much all it's about. And I liked the there's like kind of like swaying, kind of like flow to it. It's kind of airy, and it's kind of like questioning. It's like, what do I do? Kind of going back and forth on thinking, and I also like that it kind of like picks up near the end, where it's just like almost like a frustration out of not knowing what to do. So the song itself is kind of neat that it goes there, and then kind of the way it ends is almost like, kind of reminds me of like, like birds like flying away into trees or something. I don't know, it's interesting, but that's Uncertainty. And is it good or not? I'm uncertain. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call line. Come on to the show. Give in, give out, give up your soul. Give to the show is kind of it's weird, because it's sort of this thing. I kind of envisioned it of like going into like this circus tent, this event, and it's like, yeah, come in, come inside, come to the show. and they want you to give them something, the admittance fee, and it's, the idea is to give your soul, or your money, your soul, your mind, just give everything to go and see this. And I really liked, it's got a nice, the just progression of it, the song itself. I like the music in it, the way it kind of keeps moving. It has some energy to it. I liked the lyrics a lot too, and the singing was cool with it, the way I did it. The solo's kind of frantic, and then the way it builds up to the end thing too. It's good. It has a nice just the end piece. And then there's the line, feel the nuts and bolts, feel the rust in your soul. That is, even though I hadn't played it then, I still haven't played it yet, but it's referring to Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, and feel the rust in your soul. The idea is that, for that too, was just that you're too old to be doing that anymore. You don't really have it anymore, right? That was kind of the thought. I kind of like how I slipped that in there, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about that. It also kind of fits too, of just getting older or something. I don't know. I thought it was a cool line. I really like that line. This whole song I still think is pretty cool. So I really like to give to the show. It's cool ass. Cool ass.
Good luck paying attention. Good luck paying attention. Good luck paying attention. Good luck paying attention.
Paying attention is about it being hard to pay attention. Mostly it's kind of a thing of in class, or maybe you're at home trying to do something, right? Or I don't know, but it's the idea of it's hard to pay attention. You'd rather go and you want to just it mostly was stemming from the idea of being a kid in class, and you're I don't want to pay attention to what's going on. I want to go play video games and go on the internet and just go do anything else, rather than this. This is awful. And I'm just stuck here. And that's pretty much all it's based on. And I really like the music on it. I think it makes an interesting mood. Especially the use of the bells, because I kind of like using bells now and then, but I don't really always use them super effectively. So I think they work pretty well here. They play a nice role in the song. And again, it kind of goes with the same kind of the school theme. It's kind of almost like school bells or something, chiming, or hearing maybe even church bells, hearing them, chime away as time is passing, that kind of idea. So I think they work well here. And then I also like to have the effect on my voice, because again, it probably would be a lot rougher if I didn't. And it just was fun to do, especially around the end parts too. I'm just kind of going at it with my voice and just kind of having fun there and ad-libbing the end part. It was just a fun song to do, and I think it came out pretty well too. So that's nice that I enjoyed making it. I enjoy listening to it later. I think it's neat and interesting. It's more than I could have hoped for, or asked for. I could maybe could have dreamt of more for that, but as far as the other things, more, yeah, that's just not in the cards, man. It's me, for fuck's sake. For Pete's sake. For ass sake. Summer of 64 does not denote the year, but rather alludes to the Nintendo 64, which is said later in the song. It's just this idea of having a party during the summer of playing 64, Nintendo 64. Because I like Nintendo 64, and I thought it was funny to start with that, and they're like, oh, 64, the year. No, there's no apostrophe there. There's no apostrophe. Okay? And it's just kind of a party romp where you just kind of go up and like say this, repeat the same thing over and over because you want people to be able to sing along with it. I tried to make it sound like there were a lot of people singing it by having my voice in different effects and doing it in different ways on them, but I didn't do quite that. It didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. I've tried to do that multiple times really, and it just never works out that well. And then it just kind of goes, ape shit banana sandwiches at the end of just kind of weird shit going on. And the parts that are in between each one, that kind of like are a little slower down, like whatever, not slow down, but like the quieter, like kind of build up parts. I just ad-libbed all those pretty much. But I found out that I do like to say the phrase "hold on to your hats." I was like doing the one more time thing. I don't know. Both of those are kind of fun things to throw in there. So I don't think the song is that good. It doesn't sound very much like the Nintendo 64. But the idea behind it is probably more interesting than the song itself. So that kind of makes stuff like this worthwhile. Or at least the few minutes that this segment is. It was worth that while. Eight-Man Job is the title track and the final song on the album. And it's about jumping off of a cliff, just wondering like what happens when we jump off of this particular cliff. Like there's something special about this cliff. And I kind of like the way the lyrics go. Like I like the lyrics and the kind of like the beat to it. I like that I have two voices, whatever, singing it too, to make it that they lined up well too. I don't know. It's just a weird thing because I have that other song called Cliff where it was jumping off of a cliff. So it's weird for someone who's never been near a cliff and wanted to jump off it to have songs about multiple songs about that idea. But and the thing is that basically the reason it got Eight-Man Job as like the title is because the number of times it's said in there. Like I kind of purposely made it so that the last one I wouldn't have the last thing overlap, and I would just say, what if I jump? So it's just one of me saying it as if everyone else had already jumped, and nobody's come back up to report back. So if you counted those out, it would be 8 people jumping. So that's why it's called Eight-Man Job. It's kind of goofy. But now you understand that part. They said earlier, now you can comment. Oh, I get it. And that's the album. And overall, I think it's a pretty solid album, actually. Listening back to all these, it's like, yeah, I pretty much like all these. They're all pretty good. For the most part. Some strong entries here. So I think having that extra time to do the album probably helped a bit on that. And I don't know, I was in the groove of making decent me tunes. So that's good. What do you guys think about it? If you have any things you want to say or add, or any other things you want to know and like ask about, go ahead and go to the comments. You can leave that stuff there. I'll try to get back to you. If nothing else, thanks for showing up and watching and listening to me say stuff. I appreciate it, even when people, leave mean comments and unsubscribe and leave dislikes. It's still nice that somebody showed up because I get the view anyway, so joke's on you, dipshit. So the artwork here for Eight-Man Job is pretty simplistic, but it's supposed to kind of depict a cliff, and you can see the title kind of is falling off into the abyss. It's a little sloppier because I've had to trace over it to make it sharp again, but it's just a very simplistic depiction of going off of this cliff like this. So that's what that is, and then it's my name in the corner because I wanted to make sure my name was on all of these, so you'd know it was me, I guess, and some uniformity. That's really all there is to that. It's just jumping into the cliff. You also notice there's really only 7 characters there because of the letters and the number. So it doesn't really fit that way, but that's I wish these were interesting.
And I said, yeah.